The time is at hand.
From Williamson, West Virginia, the gateway to the crackheads, this is In Dark Places. My name is Junebug Fugit. How you doing? I've got this cousin. We'll call him Travis because that's his name. I haven't seen him since like 2017. Travis has false teeth and they're too big for his mouth, so it looks like he's always smiling. A couple days ago, I was looking in the mirror. I had something stuck in my teeth. A piece of popcorn or something, I don't even remember. But I was trying to dig it out of my teeth, and I was thinking as I was looking in the mirror at myself, oh wow, I look like Travis with my teeth hanging out like that and stuff. Well, I haven't seen Travis since like 2017, and that night I went to Walmart after I got off work to buy a few things, and I saw Travis. So that's one of those weird little coincidence things we're always talking about on the show. What does it mean? I have a bit of an update on a story that I did a while back. You might have heard the story, I don't know. We have new listeners all the time. So here's my thing. Back in 2012, sometime in March, I think it was like the 21st, I'm pretty sure. It's toward the end of the month. It was a Saturday, whatever that was. And I was on my way to work, and I was getting ready in the bedroom, and I heard this radio noise coming from underneath the bed. I couldn't figure out where it was at first. Looking all around the house, I thought maybe the neighbors were playing the radio out in their garage. Stepped out on the porch, I didn't hear it. I could only hear it coming from under the bed. So I thought maybe Brandon left a radio under the bed or something, because he was little and he was leaving his toys everywhere, and maybe he had a radio under the bed. Looked, there was nothing there, but I could hear it just as plain as day every time I bend over around the bed. So it was coming from right around the bed, one of the electrical outlets maybe, because I kind of heard it around the electrical outlet too that was next to the bed. Okay, so anyway, a woman in Tennessee heard that same radio noise coming from her dishwasher. It's like a couple weeks ago. Check this out. And there's no reason for a radio to be in a dishwasher. And the video shows just her dishes in there. There's no radio in there. So are these messages from Indrid Cold? Are they some sort of glitch in the Matrix? This week on the show, I've got more glitches in the Matrix. To this day, this memory has never left my existence. I live in a very beautiful New Zealand. At the tender age of roughly 9 years old, my dad and I were traveling up the North Island to a place called Wangaree. The route to Wangaree is filled with rather sharp corners, cliffs, and an abundance of greenery. Anyway, I had never traveled to Wangaree before, and we were going around one corner in particular, and I was looking down the cliff as we were driving, as I usually do. As I was looking downward, to my horror, I was shocked to graphically see a terrible bus crash. Amidst the bus crash, I was able to see dead people who were dying, and I was able to see a woman screaming. It was almost like I could hear her, although I was far too high up to hear anything. These people were easily recognized by me to be of Maori descent, as I am also Maori. I turned to my dad, surprisingly calm, and said, "Dad, there is a bus crash." He looked down. Nothing. He proceeded to tell me where there was a bus about 40 odd years ago that was carrying a bus full of people that I was descended from. To this day, I'll never forget that memory. The same day that my father committed suicide, I had a random cat walk into my house and start eating out of a bowl of cat food. Generally, cats will fight anyone that goes for the food. I had 3 cats at the time. Also, they generally disappear around people. There was 15-ish extra people in my house, consoling, helping, etc. The cat walked in, started eating in the middle of the kitchen at dinner time, and hasn't left since. 7 years later. I don't even know. I was showing my friend a video of my old girlfriend on a roller coaster. I had thousands of videos and pictures of us from vacation. I just happened to pick that one to show. She was in another state, and I hadn't heard from her in over a year. Less than 10 seconds after the video finished, I got a text from her. It says only, "I hate roller coasters." Okay, for starters, I can't even remember my dreams. It's like they don't happen. But every once in a while, I'll wake up and remember it for a bit. For instance, I'll remember who was standing beside me or something that I said, and then a few days or even weeks later, that thing that I remember will happen. For example, one dream, a friend was leaning on the desk in front of me. It was at the end of the 7th period and everybody was at their lockers, but we decided to stay back. She was toying around with a small piece of paper. Then she crawled it up and threw it at me, hitting me in the face. And maybe like a week later, that exact scenario played out in real life. It's crazy. Also, the bits I do remember, I only remember for a little while. And then I forget until it happens, and it all comes back. It's kind of frightening. I used to float down the stairs when I was little. Anyway, it almost always happened after I woke up. And it only ever happened once outside of my great-grandma's house. I remember the physical sensation of floating down the stairs. I remember arriving in the living room, and people often saying things like, "Where'd you come from?" or "How'd you get here so quietly?" I didn't think much of it when I was really little, but I tried it again when I was about 6 or 7. I didn't usually take afternoon naps at that age, but I had had a rough night and needed one that day. After I woke up, I stood up at the top of the steps, waiting to float down. Everything was totally different that time, though. There was no weightlessness, no feeling of standing on the other side of a thin veil, divided from the rest of the world. No nothing. So I just walked down the steps by myself from that point on out. I used to have those floating dreams like that when I was little. I always had my feet kind of crossed over top of each other when I was floating, if that helps. I don't know what it means. Well, I've got a neighbor that decided to mow his grass right about the time I started recording, so I guess I want to stop right here. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time. God bless.